The next session is orthopedics. Will be taken by none other than Dr. Tushar Mehta. So I hope everybody is getting benefited by all these sessions. Yes? Surely. So let's continue with this. I formally and as it is customary welcome Dr. Tushar Mehta, our esteemed faculty for orthopedics. He's done his MBBS from MAMC Agroha. He's done his DNB BHMRC Delhi. He's done his MS USAIM. He's got 15 plus years of experience in orthopedics covering sports injuries and regenerative medicine. His most cherished memory is that he is always welcomed by students. He always gets love and affection from his students. And yes, let's keep learning. And to add to this, I would say, a mediocre teacher tells, a good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, but the great teacher inspires. So all of you get ready to get inspired as the session on orthopedics starts just now by our esteemed tutor, the one and only, the Zabardast, Dr. Tushar Mehta.
All right. Good evening, everyone. All right, so good evening. Without wasting any further time, let's quickly begin the DVT session, the last session for today. I'm Dr. Tushar Mehta, orthopedic surgeon, your faculty of orthopedics, and we will revise 24 pages of orthopedics in a quick recap. It's a minor subject, contributes almost 8 to 12 MCQs in overlap with anatomy and radiology. I want all of you to focus. You all might be having the booklet with all of you. So all you need to do is just label the diagrams. So this is, I'm sure everybody knows, shoulder joint. Now when I talk about shoulder joint, very important MCQ, Bankart fracture, Bankart lesion. So everybody knows that Bankart lesion or Bankart fracture, whatever you want to call it, is basically the most common cause of recurrent anterior shoulder dislocation. So whenever we talk about recurrent anterior shoulder dislocation, there are usually two common causes. The first most common cause is Bankart lesion. The second one, of course, we'll discuss in some time. That's called Hill-Sachs lesion. First of all, Bankart lesion. आइए देखते हैं. So this is glenoid. I'm sure we all can see. This is the rim. There is this avulsion fracture. So it is basically a antero-inferior avulsion fracture. So basically what we need to understand is that there is injury of the antero-inferior glenoid labrum. Antero-inferior glenoid labrum. Avulsion of that is basically Bankart lesion or Bankart fracture, which is the most common cause of. Thank you, Nitesh Gupta. Thank you so much. And that is what is the most common cause for recurrent anterior shoulder dislocation. So this was the first thing, the first MCQ to be discussed, Bankart fracture. Now what we need to do is we need to understand the second one. Okay, Bankart is done. Now after Bankart, we have to see this as well. Just wait a second. Alright, so we have already spoken about Bankart's lesion. एक मिनट दीजिए मुझे. चलिए, anyhow, so we have spoken about Bankart's lesion. Bankart के अंदर ये या तो स्क्रीन पे मिक्सर आएगा या मैं आऊँगा. So basically ये जो है यहाँ पे आपको जो दिख रहा है, that is basically Bankart's lesion. Now after Bankart's lesion, दूसरा जो फ्रैक्चर हमने पढ़ना है वो है Barton's fracture. Now when we talk about IT team, please see to the volume. बढ़ा दो जितनी बढ़ा सकते हो, कान फट जाए उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. कान बोला मैंने, हाँ. So basically Barton's fracture. Now after Bankart, जो दूसरा फ्रैक्चर हमने पढ़ना है, the second fracture that we need to discuss is what is called as Barton fracture. So fracture, distal end of radius. What is more important is to understand that whether it is extra-articular or intra-articular. 90% of the problem is that people don't understand that it is going into the joint or it is away from the joint. एक बार देख लेते हैं. just before one day before exam, I get this question very often that sir, I cannot appreciate that it is going into the joint or away from the joint. So this is basically the AP view. To hell with that. This is not important. What is important is this lateral view. Now take a look, everyone. I'm sure you all can see this fracture line, which is in the distal end of the radius, but that's not important. What is important is that it is extending into the distal radial articular surface. If a fracture line is going into the distal radial articular surface, that is what is called as an intra-articular fracture. So this is the first aspect. The second aspect is that we have radius here, we have scaphoid here. Do you think radius and scaphoid have a normal anatomy? I don't think so. So this is radioscaphoid joint subluxation. So to define Barton fracture, you have to understand that it is an intra-articular. Likh lo, it is an intra-articular fracture. Fill in the blank. There are many blanks in life. You have to fill them. कुछ हो नहीं रहे हैं, कोशिश लगे हुए हैं फिल करने में, कोरा का कोरा है, पन्ना भरो. So it is an intra-articular fracture of the distal end of the radius with dislocation of the which joint? Radiocarpal joint. बोला था ना, dislocation of radiocarpal joint. So it is dislocation of radiocarpal joint. Dislocation of radiocarpal joint. तपस्या DRUJ. कहाँ का DRUJ? There is no DRUJ. I'm not talking about distal radioulnar joint. Okay. चलिए, moving to the next fracture. Bennett's fracture. Now in Bennett's fracture, what we need to understand is, remove this page. I can't see anything. Now I want to show you Bennett's fracture. So this is the first metacarpal. This fracture is at the base of the first metacarpal. Now, is this fracture at the base of the first metacarpal extending into trapezius first metacarpal joint? Yes. So, will you call it intra-articular or extra-articular? Intra-articular. इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Intra-articular. नहीं यकीन होता, ये देखो, ये भी देखो. So, basically, Bennett fracture is a fracture of the base of the first metacarpal extending into trapezius first metacarpal joint. But that is not important. What is important is intra or extra? Intra. So fill in the blank. Intra-articular fracture, two-part fracture. Intra-articular, two-part fracture of the base of the which metacarpal? Base of the first metacarpal. ठीक है? Base of the first metacarpal. So Bankart हो गया, Bennett हो गया, Barton हो गया. The next fracture that one needs to see is basically Rolando. Why? If you see Bennett, you have to see Rolando. Now let's take a look at Rolando. So again, is this a fracture of the first metacarpal? Yes. Base of the first metacarpal? Yes. Extending into trapezius first metacarpal joint? Yes. Opening into the joint space? Yes. Intra-articular? Yes. First metacarpal base? Yes. One part, two part, three part. The previous one was a typical two part. This is more than two part. That is what is called as comminuted. Sometimes T shape, sometimes V shape, sometimes Y shape. So it is a T, V, Y shaped intra-articular fracture through the base of the first metacarpal. Okay, extending into trapezius first metacarpal joint. But what is the classical word that we need to remember? Comminuted fracture. The classical word that we need to remember is comminuted fracture. More than two fragments. ठीक? So Bennett, Barton, Bankart, Rolando. Moving to the next fracture. Bosworth fracture. Not in the notes. Why? DVT में पढ़ाना था इसलिए. Bosworth fracture. Come on, let's take a look at Bosworth fracture. So सबसे पहले, I'm sure everybody knows that this bone is tibia. This bone is fibula. There is a fracture. Distal 1/3 fibula. There is a distal fragment. There is a proximal fragment. Proximal fragment, if you can see, is trapped behind the tibia. So what we need to understand is that fracture of the fracture of the tibia or fibula? Fibula. Distal fibula. With a fixed posterior dislocation of the proximal fibular fragment or distal fibular fragment? Proximal fibular fragment. क्या बात है? Proximal fibular fragment. देखा ना? Proximal fragment है ना ये. So this is the proximal fragment which is trapped behind the posterior tibial tubercle, that is Bosworth. Done. Done ही लग रहा है. Moving to the next fracture. Boxer's fracture. The name itself shows Dishum. Boxer's fracture. So when we do a boxing, the most common metacarpal fracture is something that we see, which is the fifth metacarpal. We have 5 metacarpals. The most common metacarpal fracture is fifth. Which part of the fifth? Neck of the fifth. So this fracture here, just take a look. This fracture here, neck of the fifth metacarpal, is what is called as Boxer's fracture. It is the most common metacarpal fracture. So it is a transverse fracture of the neck, transverse fracture of the neck, or you can write down transverse fracture of the fifth metacarpal along the neck with volar angulation. But what is more important statement than all of it is that it is the most common metacarpal fracture. Out of all metacarpal, it is the most common metacarpal fracture. I have put a highlighter on it, which I am sure most of you will do. Why? Because you're sitting with all these 5 colored pens, despite the fact that you know it's a revision program, but still notes to sundar hona chahiye. Bana lo. Next fracture that we need to discuss here is called as bumper's fracture. Life is amazing. Bumper, car, bumper. So very simple question. If the bumper of a car is going to hit you, it is going to hit you onto your knee on which side? Outer side or inner side? Bolo. Chat box mein bolo. If the bumper of the car is going to hit you, it is going to hit you on. See, so many people have given the correct answer. It is going to hit you on the outer side. Why? Bumper bahar se aayega na. Doesn't look good if a car comes from inside. No driver is going to say pip, 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 open your leg. So bumper fracture is something which is sustained due to bumper of a car, which is going to hit your knee from the outer side, means lateral side. So you will see, just take a look, you will see fracture of the lateral tibial condyle. Dekha aapne? You will see fracture of the lateral tibial condyle. Sir, how do we know it is lateral? Beta, fibula. Fibula is lateral, so it is lateral tibial condyle. So there is a bumper fracture. So what do we write? We write down fracture of the lateral tibial condyle. Fracture of the lateral tibial condyle. LTC. Due to valgus mechanism when you are hit by the bumper of a car. Done. After bumper fracture, let's talk about the next fracture, which is nothing but in continuation to the bumper fracture. Sometimes the bumper of a car is going to hit you in such a way that fracture of the lateral tibial condyle will extend onto the tibial spine. And not only it is going to extend onto the tibial spine, but a ligament which comes in gets inserted onto this lateral tibial spine, that is called as ACL. It will be fractured as well. So fracture of the lateral tibial condyle extending into tibial spine along with an ACL tear, that is what is called as Seagon fracture. So is this avulsion fracture of the lateral tibial condyle? Yes. Of the knee? Yes. Capsular avulsion? Yes. But that is not an MCQ. The MCQ which is asked most often to all of you is this, that it is highly significant due to an associated ACL tear, ACL tear, ACL tear, ACL tear, ACL tear, ACL tear, ACL tear. Seagon fracture has a very high incidence for ACL tear because that fracture of the tibial spine will lead to avulsion of the ACL. So just a lateral tibial condyle fracture, bumper fracture. But if that goes into the tibial spine with an ACL tear, Seagon fracture. Moving over to the next fracture. The next fracture to be remembered is Steeda fracture. Now what is Steeda fracture? Before Steeda fracture, we need to know that in knee we have three pair of ligaments: collaterals, cruciates, menisci. Collateral, lateral, collateral, medial, collateral. This one is lateral collateral, bilateral, fibula. I told you. Medial collateral. So medial collateral will come right from the medial femoral condyle and will go far till medial tibial condyle. That's not important. What is important is that if there is medial collateral ligament, you cannot see ligament on an X-ray. But assuming if there is a medial collateral ligament here, there is a tibial insertion, there is the femoral insertion. If the femoral insertion of the medial collateral ligament gets avulsed from here, that is what is called as Shida fracture. I'm sure you can see some bone irregularity as well. So क्या बोले इसमें? इसमें ऐसे बोले that avulsion fracture of the medial femoral condyle, MFC. No, not that one. Medial femoral condyle at the origin of femoral insertion of MCL. At the femoral insertion of MCL, that is called as Stida fracture. I hope it makes sense. Arpit, मेरे भाई, there are two collateral ligaments, medial collateral, lateral collateral. Medial collateral has got a tibial insertion. It has got a femoral insertion. If the femoral insertion, which I have made in a red circle, gets from there, then you will see some bone irregularity. That is what is called as Stida fracture. Arpit Srivastav, is this clear? After Stida fracture, let's talk about chance fracture. When I say chance fracture, what does that mean? Ashish Simon is very intelligent. If the ligament gets trapped, Pellegrini Stida, na. Yes, darling. Yes. You're not chatting to a girl on the WhatsApp messages, na, query. I'm impressed. चलिए, so chance fracture, मोहित कांत ठाकुर, तुम लोग एक काम करो, खुद आपस में पढ़ लो चैट बॉक्स में, मैं चला जाता हूँ. I'm happy. It is a proud moment for me that most of you are able to, remember those things which I mentioned in my lecture. Sheen Dhar has mentioned about that, Maruti as well. Hats off. Purpose solved. Purpose of life sorted. So chance fracture, also called as jackknife injury, also called as seat belt injury. So, of course, as most of you are already right in the chat box, but see, not everybody has attended the lecture. Not because they were not there in the lecture. Of course, they were not there when I came to your center to take the lecture. But at that point of time, they were somewhere else. So now they have come to see what's this hype is all about. So I hope I, justify to whatever you've heard. So chance fracture gives you no chance because it is usually associated with a massive intrathoracic or intra-abdominal injury. Why we call it a jackknife injury? Because there is something called as jackfruit, which is cut by jackknife in one shot, just like sat. Just like sat. It is also called a seatbelt injury because it happens when you wear a seatbelt. But not today. It used to happen in early days when there were days of Maruti 800, when there was a seatbelt to buckle in, but there was no steering wheel airbags. So since there was no airbag, sudden deceleration injury, car from 100 goes to 0, spine goes into flexion, distraction, rotation. आप chronology समझिए. Flexion, distraction, rotation. And we say to the patient what Abhishek Roy is saying, welcome to Paraplegia Society. Because the entire spine gets broken just like a jackfruit is cut by a jackknife in one shot. So all three columns are fractured, involving the injury to spinal cord. So hyperflexion injury of the spine leading to transverse fracture throughout the posterior elements of the vertebra and the posterior portion of the vertebral body, slicing, write down, slicing all the three columns of spine. Slicing all the three columns of spine in one shot, just take a look, just like a jackfruit is cut by jackknife. तो ऐसे हो जाता है. Whenever you see this fracture in your exam, just remember, that's all. Done? चलिए. Now let's move on to the next one. Chauffeur's fracture. I do hope you people remember I have spoken about Barton's fracture in the beginning. That was a fracture of the distal end of the radius extending into the wrist joint. So if you see this, आओ देखें, again radius, again fracture, again distal end extending into distal radial articular surface. So will you call it intra-articular or extra-articular? Intra-articular. What is this bone? Boat-shaped bone, scaphoid. What is this bone? Radius. Radioscaphoid joint anatomy is absolutely normal. In Barton it was dislocated. Here it is normal. Apart from that, I see one more thing here, that this is ulnar styloid. Amazing, normal. This is broken radial styloid. So Chauffeur's fracture or Hutchinson fracture or backfire fracture is an intra-articular fracture of the distal end of radius with avulsion of radial styloid. With avulsion of radial styloid. In Barton, you don't see radial styloid. In Barton, you don't see radial styloid fracture. In Barton, you see radioscaphoid joint subluxation. Here you see normal radioscaphoid joint. So far, so good. Barton, Chauffeur, Boxer, Bennett, Bankart. I want you to tell me which fracture is this. बताइए. I want you to tell me which fracture is this. I'm asking this question because of a reason. 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours before the exam, Instagram, message. Sir, wish me luck, all the best. Sir, still I'm confused between Barton and Chauffeur. I'm like, what is then for me to wish you? If you're still confused, very nice. This is Chauffeur's fracture. So this is Chauffeur's fracture, Hutchinson fracture, backfire fracture. Chauffeur fracture, Hutchinson fracture, backfire fracture. What is this? Revision चल रहा है. What is this? This is Barton. Why? Intra-articular, distal end of radius, extending into joint with radioscaphoid joint subluxation. कहने का मतलब क्या है? कहने का मतलब ये है that intact radial styloid means Barton's fracture. Broken radial styloid means Chauffeur's fracture. Two most frequently asked MCQs. What does that mean? It's not that big an achievement to get a difficult question right, as much as it is a stupidity to get an easy one wrong. Those who understand Hindi, कठिन सवाल सही करना उतनी बड़ी समझदारी नहीं है जितना एक आसान सवाल को गलत करके आना हिंदी में बेवकूफ़ी भी कहते हैं उसे, वो है. So please remember, this is important. Barton, Chauffeur. Moving to the next slide. Chopart fracture dislocation. So technically, if I may give you some background, Napoleon had two doctors. One was Les Frank, one was Chopart. So first of all, Les Frank went to Napoleon and told him that if you're riding a horse and if you get down from that and if you twist your foot, you can have an injury or a fracture to your joint called as tarsometatarsal joint. Napoleon was a big man. He said, Les Frank, aase joint tera. From that day till today, Les Frank joint is patent with TMT. Anything happening at tarsometatarsal joint is patent with Les Frank. TMT anatomy, Les Frank joint. TMT fracture, Les Frank fracture. TMT dislocation, Les Frank dislocation. TMT amputation, Les Frank amputation. There was another doctor in the team of Napoleon, Dr. Chopart, a good friend of Les Frank. He felt FOMO, he felt left out. He went to Napoleon. He said, Napoleon ji, when I have made a joint, I have made a fracture for you. Napoleon said, what is your name? He said, my name is Dr. Chopart. He said, very cute name, Chopu. Oh, so cute. Which joint, beta? He said, Napoleon ji, intertarsal joint. He said, Chopu, from today, okay, anything happening at intertarsal joint is yours. So anything happening at tarso-metatarsal is Lisfranc. Anything happening at intertarsal is Chopart. TMT, Lisfranc, IT, Chopart. Done. Moving further to the next page. Lisfranc fracture. So basically, tarso-metatarsal joint. TMT. Take. If you still don't believe me, just take a look. Injury between the tarsal and metatarsal bones. So this is a displaced Lisfranc. On the other side, you will see a normal Lisfranc. Moving further to the next page. Clay-Chauvelin fracture. Manual laborer, shovel in the hand, clay. I need to dig it out. When I do that, I do violent lateral rotation of neck towards one side. We all have a very prominent bone here. This prominent bone on the nape of the neck is basically tip of spinous process of C7. If we do a violent lateral rotation of neck towards one side while digging out the clay with the shovel, if we do a violent lateral rotation of neck towards one side, it is possible that the muscle and ligament which are inserted onto the tip of the spinous process C7 from the opposite side might get avulsed. And that avulsion fracture of tip of spinous process of C7 is what is called as Clay-Chauvelin fracture. Occupational hazard. So basically it is a stable fracture through the tip of spinous process of a vertebra occurring at any of the lower cervical or upper thoracic vertebra, but please try to understand that C7 is more commonly involved as compared to T1. Deepu? No. Ayan. Sir, can you please explain it again? Ayan, manual laborer. I have a shovel in my hand. It's an agricultural tool with which you dig out the soil. You have in your front yard wet clay, wet soil. That can be the harboring point for mosquitoes. Mosquitoes, you know, they are breeders for, different types of fever. Why? Because today you have spent 6 to 7 hours in a very, very important subject called preventive and social medicine, where they teach you what should be the size of the toilets, whether mosquitoes fly in the day or in the night. अरे उड़ने दो यार उसको, वो दिन में उड़े, रात में उड़े, कभी भी उड़े. So basically you are concerned about that. You call me, I come there. What I do is I put a shovel in that soil and I take it out. The shovel is stuck. I take it out. I do a vigorous movement to my neck. My neck goes into violent lateral rotation and tip of spinous process gets avulsed. That is called as Clay-Chauvelin fracture. No, seriously. What a wonderful subject, PSA. Amazing. I'm highly impressed. Amazing. Should have kept it in the end. All of you could have slept peacefully then. Colles fracture. Colles fracture. Let's talk about Colles fracture. So first of all, fracture of the distal end of the radius, of course. Extra-articular or intra-articular? Extra-articular. Away from the wrist joint. I'm sure you all can see. Can you see? Fracture of the distal end of the radius, away from the wrist joint. So is this extra-articular fracture of the distal end of the radius? Yes. Proximal fragment? Yes. Distal fragment? Yes. Whenever you talk about the displacement of a fracture, it is always decided according to the movement and direction of distal fragment. Where is the distal fragment going? Anteriorly, posteriorly? Posteriorly. Dorsally. So this is basically Colles fracture. So this is basically Colles fracture. So extra-articular fracture of the distal end of the radius with posterior oblique dorsal displacement of distal fragment. I mean, I just want to say one thing, that if anybody of you is a diehard fan of PSM, please don't get offended. I mean, I don't want to offend anybody, but it's just that I love PSM, you know. I love the way Pak PSM has been written. One beautiful book which changes color almost every alternate year. Deep purple, dark purple, sea blue, deep blue, navy blue, amazing. So let's talk about Colles fracture. We have understood Colles fracture. Now in Colles fracture, I want to ask you just one simple question, that in Colles fracture, what is the most common complication? Anybody? What is the most common complication? Malunion or non-union? Most common complication, malunion or non-union? Malunion or non-union? Abe, finger stiffness. Most common complication is finger stiffness. Second most common complication is for sure malunion, which gives rise to something which you all have been wanting to hold in your hand. I'm talking about dinner fork. Dinner fork deformity. Dinner fork deformity. Dinner fork deformity. You will do dinner. Don't worry. It will take some time. Moving further. I hope you all have written this. Moving further. When you move further to the next page, you talk about reverse Colles fracture. When we talk about reverse Colles fracture, of course, again, it is a fracture of the distal end of the radius. Yes. Away from the wrist joint. Yes. Extra-articular. Yes. Whenever you have a fracture, there are two fragments. One is called proximal, one is called distal, and the displacement of a fracture is decided according to the movement and direction of distal fragment. So basically, if you see this, this is positioned, this X-ray is positioned like this. So which is this side? Anterior volar. Which is this side? Posterior dorsal. So do you have a fracture at the distal end of the radius? Yes. Away from the wrist joint? Yes. Extra-articular? Yes. Where is the distal fragment going? Anteriorly. Where is it going? Volarly. So this fracture is what is called as Smith's fracture, also what is called as reverse Colles fracture. So with anterior oblique volar displacement of distal fragment. Pandey ji, to hell with proximal fragment. Sahi line pakde ho Pandey ji. Alright, so this is Smith fracture, also called as reverse Colles fracture. Moving to the next fracture. The next fracture is very simple. It is Pott's fracture. Why do I say that? I'm sure we all can see tibia, we all can see fibula, medial malleolus fracture, lateral malleolus fracture. So you have a bimalleolar fracture ankle. So you have a bimalleolar fracture MM plus LM fracture of the ankle. That is what is called as Pott's fracture. That is what is called as Pott's fracture. Done, everyone? Done. Chaliye. After Pott's, we have the next one, which most of you have already answered on my behalf. That is Cotton's fracture. Why do I say? This is fracture of the medial malleolus. This is fracture of the lateral malleolus. Ma kasam, there is a third malleolus also, which is the posterior malleolus. I'm sure you all can see. So there is a third malleolus, posterior malleolus. That belongs to tibia. So this is a trimalleolar. So Cotton's fracture is a trimalleolar fracture, which involves medial malleolus, which involves lateral malleolus, which involves posterior malleolus. That is what is called as Cotton's fracture. Done. So MMLM Pott's, MMLMPM Cotton's, by Pott's, try Cotton's. Move to the next fracture. Essex Lopresti fracture dislocation. Enter into a washroom. The floor is wet. You're about to slip. In a protective effort, what you do is You put your hand like this. When you put your hand like this, the entire body weight goes down. The ground reaction force goes up. When the ground reaction force goes up, the first thing that does is DRUJ, dislocation. Introsion membrane between radius and ulna, disruption. Fracture head of radius. So it's a kind of a triad. So it is a kind of a triad, which is fracture of the head radius with concomitant dislocation of distal radioulnar joint with disruption of interosseous membrane. With disruption of interosseous membrane. Madhurima has asked for the previous slide. We can't deny. Madhurima, this is the previous slide. Bimalleolar pods, trimalleolar cottons. Done? Chaliye. Now, thank you Kaushik, thank you so much. Madhurima, since you might have missed this slide also, this is a triad of DRUJ dislocation, interosseous membrane dislocation, fracture head of radius. S6, low press T. सज्जन शौकीन, अरे शौकीन साहब आप तो पड़ोसी लग रहे हो हमारे सर, आपकी क्लास में जल्दी से घर वालों को थैंक यू सो मच, गिव माय रिगार्ड्स टू एवरीबॉडी एट होम. चलिए, मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट वन, Galeazzi fracture, also called as reverse Monteggia, also called as Piedmont. Again, one of the most frequently asked image based question. So let's take a look. Radius, ulna, fracture radius, distal end, na. Fracture of the shaft of radius at the junction of middle and distal 1/3 with DRUJ dislocation. If you don't believe me, then DRUJ dislocation. So this is Galeazzi's fracture. So this is Galeazzi's fracture. So fracture of the shaft of radius. Fracture of the shaft of radius at the junction of middle and distal 1/3 with distal radioulnar joint dislocation, Galeazzi, or reverse Monteggia or Piedmont. Done everyone? Yes or no? Moving over to the next fracture, as expected after Galeazzi. Okay, Yashika wants to see the DRUJ dislocation. Yashika, distal end of radius, distal end of ulna, the joint between them. I don't think this is normal. वो देखो कहाँ चढ़ी हुई ulna. So DRUJ dislocation. Done. Yashika, I hope clear हो गया होगा. Monteggia fracture. When we talk about Monteggia fracture, I'm sure we all can see what is this bone? Radius. What is this bone? Ulna. Where is the fracture? Proximal shaft of ulna. What has happened to the radial head? नाराज है. Supposed to make a joint with capitulum, बोलता नहीं, मैं नहीं बनाऊंगा. Dislocation. If you still don't believe, look at the spike, fracture of proximal 1/3 of ulnar shaft, and look at this. It is a dislocation of the radial head. So Monteggia fracture is fracture of the proximal 1/3 of the ulnar shaft with dislocation of the radial head. Done. After Galeazzi, after Monteggia, let's move on to the next one, green stick fracture. So green stick fracture, I'm sure you all can see that there is fracture of the one cortex, but the other cortex is bent. So there is एक cortex मुड़ गया है, एक cortex टूट गया है. So there is bend in one cortex, the other cortex is broken. So will you call it a fracture? Yes. Complete? No. Incomplete? Yes. Bicortical? No. Unicortical? Yes. Forearm bone? Yes. Radius ulna? Yes. Radius more than ulna? Yes. Exactly just like a green stick. When you bend it, you can bend it like anything, but you can't completely break it. The classical property of the pediatric skeleton. So most common fractures seen in children overall: unicortical fractures, incomplete fractures, forearm bones of radius and ulna, where radius is more commonly involved as compared to ulna, and how Dr. Talukdar has mentioned is absolutely right, that it is usually associated with concavo-convex deformity. Done? Shreya, very right. तोड़ नहीं सकते, मोड़ सकते हो. So this is green stick fracture. Moving to the next one. Again, I've shown you green stick fracture. Why? Gut feel, intuition, guesswork, I don't know. यहाँ पे, if you will get this X-ray, you should be able to tell that one cortex is broken, another cortex is intact. So this is a green stick fracture. Done? Yes or no? Chaliye. I want to make one thing very clear to all of you. Most common fracture overall: clavicle. In a newborn, clavicle. During delivery, बता नहीं रहे आप लोग, clavicle. During difficult delivery, जो लोग गर्ल्स हॉस्टल पहुंच गए हैं वापस आ जाओ, रुक गया हूं मैं. During difficult delivery, shaft of humerus. बच्चा बड़ा हो गया, green stick fracture. In children, around elbow, supracondylar fracture humerus. Sahil Gujar, I think, उसने पूछा था. I think he asked this query. I can't recall the name as of now. But ये सारे वो वन लाइनर हैं जो आप पूछना चाहते हो मुझसे बार बार. नहीं प्रेरणा, कोई प्रॉक्सिमल डिस्टल कुछ नहीं होता. शाफ्ट में कोई प्रॉक्सिमल डिस्टल नहीं. डन? चलिए, मूविंग टू द नेक्स्ट पेज. नाउ लेट्स गो टू द गर्ल्स हॉस्टल. 12 midnight, her birthday. The first one to wish: teddy bear, Archie's, card, musical. When you open, it sings. I'm talking about myself, I'm not talking about you. Aajkal different hai. So watchman stops you, you don't, and then he throws a stick on you. In your defense, what you do is this, and you have a direct hit here on this bone, and that bone is basically ulnar shaft. So isolated fracture of the ulnar shaft without associated fracture of the radius, that is called as nightstick fracture. तो एक था green stick, there's one nightstick, एक था हरा डंडा, एक था रात का डंडा, डंडा डंडा. Moving to the, I'm sure you all can see the fracture of the shaft of ulna as well. Moving to the next one. Now when you move to the next one, let's talk about hangman fracture. Very simple. Hangman fracture occurs during hanging. Nothing to do with odontoid process. Okay, nothing to do with odontoid process. It is fracture of the pedicle of C2. Just remember this. Main बात बस ये याद रखनी है कि it is a fracture of the pedicle of C2. If you don't believe me, let me show you. Although in your exam, nobody will ever ask you. This is not going to be an image-based question in your exam. I assure you, I promise you. Just remember, okay, fine, it is a fracture of the pedicle of the C2. Alright, done. Aditi Parashar, can nightstick also occur in radius? Aditi, तुम लड़की हो ना, तुम समझोगी नहीं. जब हम पे पड़ेगा ना डंडा तो हम ऐसे करेंगे, हम ऐसे नहीं करेंगे कि नहीं मुझे मत मारो, ऐसे नहीं होगा. थोड़ा सोचो यार, डिफेंस ऐसे होता है, ऐसे ऐसे कौन डिफेंस करता है? Anyhow, चलिए आगे. Moving to the next one, Hill-Sachs fracture. The first fracture that we discussed, Bankart, which was the most common cause of recurrent anterior shoulder dislocation, which was a fracture of the anterior inferior glenoid labrum. Hill-Sachs fracture is a cortical depression in the posterolateral aspect of head of humerus. Aditi, don't mind, Kabhi kabhi aditi. So this is cortical depression in the posterolateral aspect of head of humerus, which is the second most common cause of recurrent anterior shoulder dislocation. Done. So we have spoken about Bankart. We have spoken about Hill sac. चलिए आगे चलते हैं. I hope you all have done this. Holston-Lewis. Before Holston-Lewis, I just want you people to understand that radial nerve, when it crosses axilla, it enters into arm. Which aspect? Posterior aspect. We all have read this, that radial nerve runs on the posterior surface of shaft of humerus in a groove called as radial groove between the two heads of triceps. So this is the radial nerve which is running, although it is very stupid to make radial nerve with red color, but sorry. So radial nerve is running on the posterior surface of shaft of humerus at the junction of upper 2/3 and lower 1/3 of shaft of humerus. At the junction of upper 2/3 and lower 1/3 of shaft of humerus, radial nerve crosses from posterior to anterior, from the lateral side. If you have a fracture over there, that is called as Holston-Lewis fracture. The point is that Holston-Lewis fracture is a fracture of the shaft of humerus at the junction of upper 2/3, lower 1/3, but it has to have an involvement of radial nerve. जब तक रेडियल नर्व नहीं होगा, तब तक we are not going to call it shaft of humerus at the junction of upper 2/3 and lower 1/3, resulting in entrapment of radial nerve. Without involvement and entrapment of radial nerve, you cannot call a fracture to be Holston-Lewis fracture. Most common cause of recurrent anterior shoulder dislocation is Bankart lesion. That is the first fracture that we discussed and we started our lecture with. केतन भगत बहुत मजा आ रहा है. मजे देने तो आया हूं मैं तुझे. मजे मतलब पढ़ ले. वैसे मजे लेनी भी चाहिए. मौज लो, रोज लो, ना मिले तो खोज लो, फिर भी ना मिले छीन लो. Jefferson fracture. So Jefferson fracture is a fracture of the C1 atlas, basically involving the ring of C1. पढ़ लो, शाबाश, पढ़ भी लो. Ring of the C1. It is a kind of a burst fracture. Why? When you fall from height, body weight goes down, ground direction force goes up, it reaches up to C1. C1 has a ring. I'm sure you can see the ring. So it goes up, enters into ring, and then so C1 का पटाखा फूट गया. C1 has got a burst fracture. C1 has got a burst fracture. So Jefferson fracture is a fracture of the anterior and posterior arches of C1. So C1, atlas, ring, anterior arch, posterior arch, burst fracture, usually due to fall from height. That is Jefferson fracture. Done. Moving over to the next fracture. अरे मेरे पानी की छोड़ो, तुम लिख लो यार, फिर प्रीवियस स्लाइड करते हो. पानी खूबसूरती है, जिसमें मिला दो वैसा ही हो जाता है. Jones fracture. Let's number these bones in front of us. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. This fracture is at the fifth metatarsal. Yes. Base of the fifth metatarsal. Yes. Metaphysio-diaphyseal junction. This is metaphysis. This is diaphysis. This is metaphysio-diaphyseal junction, and as most of you have already guessed it right, JMD. So Jones fracture is fracture in the meta-dia junction. Fracture in the meta-dia junction at the base of the fifth metatarsal of the foot. So that fracture is what is called as, Jones fracture. Most of you are absolutely right. JMD 5. Jones, metaphysio, diaphyseal, fifth. Done. After Jones fracture, we have to talk about another fracture. But before that, if this is diaphysis, this is metaphysis, what is this? Tuberosity. What comes and gets inserted onto the tuberosity at the base of the fifth metatarsal? A tendon. What is the name of the tendon? That tendon is what is called as peroneus brevis. A very basic question from anatomy. And when this peroneus brevis avulses, it leads to avulsion of tuberosity at the base of the fifth metatarsal. And at that point of time, Jones fracture will become, ओहो मुबारक हो, झूठा जोन्स. वो सच्चा था, ये झूठा है. वो डिस्टल था, ये प्रॉक्सिमल है. वो बस था, ये हो जाता है. So it is due to P for pull off, P for peroneus brevis, P for pseudojones. So basically, avulsion fracture of the tuberosity at the base of the fifth metatarsal involving the articular margin due to violent pull off peroneus brevis. Pseudojones fracture, also called as tennis fracture, also called as dancer's fracture, also called as tennis fracture or dancer's fracture. Done? I'm sure you all have written this. Done? जी दिया जी बिल्कुल. It is dancer's fracture. Moving over to the next page. What I have done is I've tried to show you again. So this is Jones. This one is pseudojones. P for pseudojone is due to P for pull off, P for peroneus brevis. Moving to the next page. Now, Tielu-Chaput fracture. Everybody knows that this inferior tibiofibular joint is a classical example of a syndesmotic joint, which is stabilized by this ligament called as anterior tibiofibular ligament, which has got a tibial insertion on Chaput's tubercle, which has got a fibular insertion on Wagstaff's tubercle. Basic anatomy yaar, aur kuch nahi. Arjun Reddy doesn't dance, so therefore he doesn't know much about it. Reddy Saab, first of all, behave properly with women. You're not supposed to treat them like that. Second thing is that when we dance, it is possible that we are enjoying too much, not because of the dance, but because something we consumed, and there's an elevated platform and the foot twists. There is an ankle twist, and what happens is a violent adduction plus inversion injury, due to which the tendon chips off, leading to chipping of the tuberosity. Therefore it is called as dancer's fracture. Again I repeat this one. Inferior tibiofibular joint is a classical example of syndesmosis. It is stabilized by a ligament called as anterior tibiofibular ligament. I have written the name here. So this one is the anterior tibiofibular ligament. Tibial insertion is on a bony prominence called as Chaput's tubercle. Fibular insertion is on a bony prominence called as Wagstaff's tubercle. Now, if there is avulsion fracture of Chaput's tubercle, that is what is called as Tielu-Chaput fracture. But if there is avulsion fracture of the Wagstaff's tubercle, that is what is called as Liefort-Wagstaff's fracture. That is what is called as Liefort-Wagstaff's fracture. Alright, done? Chaliye. So now Salter-Harris type 3. Tielu-Chaput is Salter-Harris type 3 through anterolateral aspect of the distal tibial epiphysis, which is opposite to Liefort-Wagstaff fracture. Is this clear to all of us? Yes or no? I presume yes. Moving over to the next slide, nothing, very simple. Distal fibula. Alright, So Leeford-Wagstaff fracture is a fracture of the anteromedial aspect of the distal fibula due to avulsion of fibular insertion of the ligament. Leeford-Wagstaff's fracture. Done, yes or no? Chaliye. Thank you, Siddharth Bhatia. Give my love to the entire Goa. Pipkin's fracture dislocation. Very simple. Whenever, listen to me, whenever there is a dashboard injury, okay, the dashboard hits the knee, the force goes up along the femur. At a point, force is confused because femur is finished. Force says, femur, are you finished? Femur says, no, force. I have a neck, I have a head. Oh, force goes inside into the head. Force says, hi, I'm force. Head says, yes, tell me, force, what can I do for you? Force said, no, come with me. Posterior hip dislocation. Head says, no, but I don't want to. Okay. While taking the head posteriorly, there is a chipping of the head of the femur as well. So basically, posterior hip dislocation, while it is happening, if there is a avulsion fracture of the femoral head due to pull of ligamentum teres, that is what is called as Pipkin's fracture dislocation. So we have remembered it like this: PhD plus fracture of head of femur due to a dashboard impact. Moving over to the next slide, runner's fracture. Sunday morning, 5 a.m. Husband wakes up, wife as well. Darling, where are you going? Husband, marathon, 5 kilometers. Wife is like, if you have to go to 250 meters to the market, you take your car. Bloody hell, what are you doing? Husband is like, no darling, my friend has given my name for it. I have to go there. Marathon, Instagram, stories, yay. So, stress fracture of distal fibula. Why? Husband calls wife at 8:30. Darling, I've got this plaster applied. I'm at this hospital. Can you please come and pick me up? Because I ran beyond the muscle strength and the bone strength. And there is a spiral fracture of the distal fibula. I'm sure you all can see there is a spiral fracture of the distal fibula. That is basically runner's fracture. Simple, huh? After runner's fracture, Don Juan fracture. Because Don Juan had it. Don Juan fracture because Don Juan had it. Lover's fracture because the person Don Juan was a ardent lover, passionate lover who had gone to meet her lover, his lover. The husband of the lover came. Don Juan had no choice except to jump from the second floor. Don Juan landed on the ground, on the heel bone, on the calcaneum, and intra-articular calcaneal fracture. I'm sure you all can see that. So lover's fracture is intra-articular fracture of calcaneum due to fall from height while escaping from the spouse of the lover. And I'm not making it up. They have been actually written this in the standard textbooks. While escaping from the spouse of the lover, this kind of a fracture can happen. So one needs to be careful. Meet on the ground floor. Done. Lover's fracture. Moving over to the next fracture is aviator fracture, which is very simple. Fracture of neck of talus. Aviator fracture is basically fracture of neck of talus. Done. Now this is what I want to show you. What is this bone? Calcaneum. What is this bone? Navicular. What is this bone? Talus. Which part of talus? Body. Which part of talus? Head. Which part of talus? Neck. What is fractured? Neck of talus. Talus is so special. Why? Because talus has a retrograde blood supply. Talus is so special. Most of you have mentioned it right in the chat box. Wow, symphony. It has got a retrograde blood supply. Now please tell me, what is the most common complication? It is not avascular necrosis. Yes. Most of you have to remember that most common complication is not vascular necrosis, it is subtalar arthritis. Nahin, it is not AVN, it is not non-union. Most of you get it wrong. Moving over to the next one, straddle fracture. Very simple. You fall on a pointed object. On your private parts, the body weight goes down, ground reaction force goes up. See, ground reaction force is going up. It is going up to what? Symphysis pubis. Ground reaction force says, hi, symphysis pubis, please, if you can break the symphysial cartilage, we have to open the book. Symphysis pubis says that no, it's not possible. So what you can do is on the right side, on the left side, on the superior and the inferior, we have 4 pubic rami, you can break all 4 of them. Fracture, 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 fracture. Fracture, bilateral fracture of the superior and inferior pubic rami. Bilateral fracture of the superior and inferior pubic rami. Now some of you, maybe most of you, may not get this context of Chintu. Chintu is a young boy. I told Chintu that Chintu, there is a staircase which is very uneven, sharp and steep. So Chintu beta, please be careful when you climb stairs. Chintu said, uncle, you're just a bloody uncle. Uncle, I don't climb stairs. I hop on them. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. You know, some people have a habit of climbing alternate stairs. Within 5 minutes, when Chintu was climbing stairs, I heard a noise. Uncle! मैंने बोला क्या हो गया? Chintu said, uncle! I had the fall on the private part on the pointed edge of a stair. Body weight down. Ground reaction force up. Chintu ka. Don't even think about it. You'll feel pain. After straddle fracture, let's talk about toddler fracture. Name itself says, seen in toddlers. Toddlers less than, make this correction, 3-year-old. Make this 3-year-old. Accidental fracture due to accidental fall. Accidental fracture, accidental fall, spiral fracture. Childhood, accidental, you know, it is so good to see you, some of you to imagining, you know, Akshay Gar, what was the name? Miss ho gaya naam. Chalo koi baat nahi. So childhood, accidental, spiral fracture, toddler fracture. Done. Chaliye. Moving over to the next fracture. Fractures are over. Now we'll talk about that aspect which is already covered in radiology. We'll just do a quick recap. Radiology spotters, growth of the bone, outside the bone, metaphysis, skeletal immature, bony stalk, cartilaginous cap. Moe moe, moe moe. Osteochondroma, also called as exostosis. Sheendar, you've been giving almost the right answer, but I think here you have mentioned enchondroma. This is so wrong. It is osteochondroma, also called as exostosis. Okay, so skeletally immature, boy more than girl, distal femur, metaphysis, growth of the bone, outside the bone. Simple. Usually asymptomatic. Moving over to the next one. Epiphysis. Eccentric. Expensile. Expensile. Oh, Shindar, I'm sorry, then my bad. Chicken wire calcification. This is, bolo na, chondroblastoma. Codman's tumor. This is chondroblastoma, Codman's tumor. Done. So osteochondroma, chondroblastoma. Moving to the third spotter. Can you see this? Anything that looks black on an X-ray is called lucency. So central radiolucent lesion, nidus. What is this called? Osteoid. thick peripheral reactive sclerotic rim. What is that called? Osteoid osteoma. Alright. So, osteoid osteoma. This nidus has two properties. Number one, diameter less than 2 centimeter. Humongous content of prostaglandin. So, any growth of the bone outside the bone, osteochondroma. Growth of the bone inside in a skeletally mature in the epiphysis, which is eccentric and expansile, chondroblastoma. Lucency surrounded by sclerosis. Osteoid osteoma. Aspirin response. So you can label it osteoid osteoma. So फिर क्या बात है? So now the quintessential MCQ which has been discussed in radiology as well. So I'm sure we all know that this is sun ray or sunburst appearance, which is due to calcification along the blood vessel or periosteal reaction, which is due to periosteal reaction along which fibers? Sharpie's fibers. So this is osteosarcoma. Alright, this is osteosarcoma. So periosteal reaction along the Sharpie's fiber, that is what is called as osteosarcoma. Done? Everyone? Chaliye. Moving over to the next one. Again osteosarcoma, but that's not important. What is important is that the tumor has expanded so much that it has tried to lift off the periosteum. So you can see the periosteal elevation. And this periosteal elevation that one can see here is what is called as, bolo boss, Codman triangle. So Codman was a smart man. Codman's tumor, Codman's triangle. Codman's tumor is another name for chondroblastoma. Codman's triangle is an X-ray feature of osteosarcoma. Done? Chaliye. Moving over to the section of tumor, which I'm sure it has been covered in quite depth by radiology and orthopedics in all the lectures. But today, as I said, there are some people who have not attended but have come today. So, unke liye, this is GCT, giant cell tumor. This is aneurysmal bone cyst. Okay, fine. I'm sorry. This is giant cell tumor, GCT, and this one is ABC. Very simple. Skeletally mature. Skeletally immature. Women more than men. Girl more than boy. Distal femur. Proximal tibia. Usually epiphysis. Usually metaphysis. Rather, it is going sometimes into metaphysis as well. Soap bubble appearance. No such appearance. GCT, ABC. Whenever you are confused, just remember one thing, look at the growth plate. Radiology, you must have discussed. No growth plate, skeletally mature, GCT. We can see the growth plate, skeletally mature, ABC, end of the story. Done? Most common benign bone tumor is neither chondroblastoma nor enchondroma, it is osteochondroma, but that's not a true bone tumor. So most common true benign bone tumor, osteoid osteoma. So always remember, most common benign bone tumor, osteochondroma, but that's not a true bone tumor. So most common true benign bone tumor is osteoblastoma. Done? Chaliye. Yes, both are more common in, okay, slight correction. Both are more common in female as compared to male. Although GCT is more or less seen in auntie and ABC is usually seen in a girl. Chaliye ji. Most common benign bone tumor of hand bones. Hand and feet both are involved. Hand is more commonly involved as compared to feet. In hand, phalanges and metacarpal. Phalanges are more commonly involved as compared to metacarpal. We are talking about enchondroma. So this is enchondroma. Alright, so this is enchondroma. Done? Chaliye. Usually solitary. But rarely multiple. When it is multiple, Olier's disease, Maffucci syndrome. Rarely multiple, but whenever it is multiple, Olier's disease, Maffucci syndrome. Done, everyone? Chaliye, the next one. When we talk about orthopedic infections, everybody knows that what is this blue arrow showing? It is a reactive, immature, subperiosteal, healthy new bone which has been formed around this infected bone. So this infected bone, alright, this infected bone can be labeled to be sequestrum. This bone can be labeled to be involucrum. Holes in involucrum through which pus and infection goes out. Cloaca, singular. Cloacae, plural. So welcome to the world of Sir Staphylococcus aureus G. Classical presentation of chronic osteomyelitis. Done, everyone? Chaliye. Have you labeled this? I'm sure you have. Again, this is sequestrum. Okay, this is sequestrum. So this is sequestrum. This is involucrum. This is small opening, cloacae. So this is sequestrum. This is involucrum. Done? Chaliye. Pathological hallmark of acute osteomyelitis. Yes, everyone. Abscess. Chronic osteomyelitis. Sequestrum. Done? चलिए, पढ़ने से सहदेव, पढ़ने से, बार बार पढ़ने से, याद करने से, याद रखने से. Read, remember, revise, retain. चलिए, moving over to the next page. Most common lesion of port spine is paradiscal. Most common lesion to complicate into POTS paraplegia is paradiscal. So just remember this, kuch nahi aur. So most common lesion is paradiscal, and most common one to complicate into spinal cord involvement, POTS paraplegia, is again paradiscal. Then remember one more thing. After lungs, second common site is lymph node, followed by genitourinary tract, followed by skeleton. In skeleton, most common is spine, followed by hip, followed by knee. In spine, most common is lower thoracic spine, followed by upper lumbar spine, followed by thoracolumbar junction. Least common site is bursal TB. Least common bone is mandible. Least common joint is temporomandibular joint. It's not lumbar, it is lower thoracic. T11, T12 followed by L1, L2 followed by T12, L1. Dr. Nagaraj, POTS is medial plus lateral malleolus fracture. Done? These one-liners are clear to all of us, yes or no? Please repeat. See, least common site is bursal TB. Least common bone is mandible. Least common joint in skeletal TB is temporomandibular joint. Least common site is bursal TB. Bursa. Bursa. B-U-R-S-A. Lower thoracic. LTS, lower thoracic, followed by upper lumbar, followed by thoracolumbar junction. Done? Chaliye. Central TB has concentric collapse, giving rise to a characteristic X-ray feature, vertebra plana. So this vertebral body becomes this vertebral body. So C for central TB has C for concentric collapse, leading to vertebra plana. Done? So paradiscal, just remember two things. It is the most common lesion and most common lesion to complicate into paraplegia. Central TB, I've shown you, it leads to vertebra plana. I hope you all have written. Anterior TB, A for anterior, A for aneurysmal sign. What is aneurysm? Abnormal dilatation of a blood vessel. So if you see the shadow of anterior longitudinal ligament here, it is swollen like an aneurysm. So this is what is called as aneurysmal sign. So when I was preparing like you, I used to remember it like this. C for central TB gives for C for concentric collapse. A for aneurysmal sign is seen in A for anterior TB. Yes, vertebra plana also seen in Langerhans cell histiocytosis. Done everyone? Yes or no? Chaliye. Some high yielding images we are going to discuss. Some of them have been discussed in radiology. What is this, everyone? Fish mouth spine, also called as codfish spine, seen in osteomalacia as well as osteoporosis. But if you have to choose one, what will you choose? M for mouth, M for Malaysia. What do I say? It's a fish mouth spine. Look at this vertebral body height, look at this vertebral body height, and look at this collapsed vertebral body height. No, it is more classical of Malaysia. Remember, M for mouth, M for Malaysia. Done? A very important radiology orthopedic question. I'm sure most of you will get it right. Rugger jersey spine. Why? Just like the jersey of a rugby player. So jersey of a rugby player has got alternating stripes of white, black, white, black, white, black, as you can see. Vertebral body also has got stripes. You can see superior plate is white, body is black, inferior plate is white, disc is black. So white, black, white, black, white, black. Seen in osteopetrosis and renal osteodystrophy. that's fine. But if you have to choose, okay, if the pattern of the question paper is more than one option correct, mark both of them. But if you have to choose either of them, then what will you do? Always remember, R for Ragar Jersey is more classical of R for ROD. Just like M for mouth is more classical of M for Malaysia. Done? Chaliye. Moving to the next one. If the superior end plate is dense, inferior end plate is dense, we call it Ragar Jersey. If superior, inferior, anterior, posterior, all four end plates are dense, we call it picture frame spine. Now, I have always remembered it like this, that R for Ragar Jersey is more classical of R for ROD. P for picture frame is more classical of P for Paget's disease. R for Ragar Jersey, R for ROD, P for picture frame, P for Paget's. Done? Chaliye. Moving over to the next one. So if you have a bamboo spine, that's a classical feature of ankylosing spondylitis. But if you have a flowing candle wax spine, that is a classical feature of DISH. Full form, diffuse, idiopathic, skeletal hyperostosis. Okay, so this is bamboo spine versus flowing candle wax spine. DISH, also called as Forestier's disease. Done, everyone? Yes or no? चलिए बताइए. Very clear. Cock-up splint, knuckle bender splint for ulnar nerve palsy, claw hand, radial nerve palsy, wrist drop. Look at the metacarpals. If they are covered, knuckle bender. If metacarpals are covered, knuckle bender. If metacarpals are free, then it is cock-up. Alright, if they are covered, knuckle bender. If they are free, cock-up. Done? Done, everyone? Moving to the next one. A very interesting test for carpal tunnel syndrome, which is entrapment neuropathy of median nerve. It's a provocative test. So you will ask patient to approximate dorsum of both the hands by taking the wrist into palmar flexion. Wait for 60 seconds. 30-40 seconds later, patient says, "Doctor, you have provocated my symptoms, tingling and numbness in lateral 3.5 fingers." This is called as Phelan's test positive. Another test for the same condition is what we have is Durkan's test. Now Durkan's test is also called as carpal compression test, and believe me, it is the most specific test. It is the most diagnostic test. So if you ask patient to palmar flex both the wrist and approximate dorsum of both the hands and stand like this for 60 seconds, in 60 seconds if symptoms are provocated, it's Phelan's test. But if you press the median nerve, if you compress the median nerve by application of the pressure from both the thumbs, and if you provocate the symptoms, this is application of a direct pressure, carpal compression test. If you tap the median nerve over carpal tunnel and that leads to tingling and numbness, that is what is called as Tinel sign. That is called as Tinel sign. Kaustubh, this query please do mention in the end. Aditi, I have to answer this question of Aditi. Can't help it. Aditi, in Allen's test and Durkin's test, very good question by the way. In Durkin, we will apply pressure in the center of the forearm at the level of wrist on the median nerve. In Allen's test, which is done to detect patency of the superficial palmar arch, we will press pressure with 2 fingers or 2 thumbs, whatever, on the radial and ulnar artery, which are towards the right and the left side. Nahi samjhe? Either radial artery, either ulnar artery. So 2 different arteries are pressurized, 2 different structures are pressurized. Here, with both the thumbs, we are pressing just one now. ठीक है, Aditi, is this clear? चलिए, moving over to the next one. प्रसाद साहब पकड़ जाते हैं बात को. So, Allen's test. As I was telling Aditi, and that is why I mentioned this, because I knew that this is going to be the next one. So, Allen's test, see, we are pressing the radial artery and ulnar artery separately. If I press median nerve here, then it becomes Durkin's test. ठीक है, फोटो में बस इतना याद रखना. See, in your exam, nobody is going to ask you for 5 marks, describe the steps of this test. Nobody is going to ask you that for 5 marks, catch the person sitting next to you, throw him on the floor and do this test. They will give you a photo or they will give you a video. You have to just absorb the gist of the test. Done? Chali. What is this test? Anterior drawers test. Knee is in 90-degree flexion. Examiner is sitting on the dorsum of the foot and trying to pull the proximal tibia towards himself. He is trying to exert a draw anteriorly towards himself. That is what is called as anterior drawers test. Done? Good test, of course, because the job of ACL is to ensure that tibia does not go anteriorly, and if tibia goes anteriorly, that means ACL is not working. But it is not a good test for acute tear. Why? Because in acute tear, if you flex the knee by 90 degree, it will be very painful. So for acute tear, what we perform is called as Lachman's test. What we perform is called as Lachman's test, because it is performed in 20 to 30 degree of knee flexion, which is considered to be the most comfortable position of knee. So this is the test of choice for acute ACL tear. Alright, so this is the test of choice for acute ACL tear. Done. So both are good tests, but for acute tear, Lachman is superior to anterior drawer. Again, I have shown you both the images because by law of probability, if an MCQ has to be asked on the test for knee injury, sabse zyada yahi aana. Moving to the next slide, pivot shift test. Just don't go into the steps of it. Just remember this. That's all. Finish it. Do not go for the steps of the test. You might that might confuse you. ठीक है, वो आपको और ज़्यादा confuse करेगा. So just remember, it is a gold standard test for ACL tear. That's all. Now, moving over to the next slide. This is nothing, just osteoarthritis. So I'm sure we all can see femur, we all can see tibia, we all can see fibula, we all can see the lateral joint space, we all can see the medial joint space, you all can see the reduction of the joint space. Now my question is, do you see the reduction of the joint space? Yes. Symmetric or asymmetric? Asymmetric. Where medial reduction occurs earlier and more than lateral, as Dr. Ashish Samin has mentioned. So osteoarthritis, the first X-ray sign is always reduction of the joint space. Symmetric or asymmetric? Asymmetric, where medial reduction occurs earlier and more as compared to lateral. Why? Because medial compartment is a weight-bearing compartment. The weight-bearing axis does not pass through midline. It passes slightly medial to midline. Now, if they ask you that in osteoarthritis of knee, most common bone, patella, most common compartment, medial, most common muscle, vastus medialis obliquus, VMO. These small bony spurs that you see are osteophyte. Excessive whitishness, what you see is sclerosis. Small bony spurs are osteophytes. Excessive whitishness that you see is sclerosis. Done? In osteoarthritis, in knee, मधुरमा नहीं है कुछ नहीं है वो, just leave it. In knee, you see a deformity called as Gino varus. In PIP, Bouchard node. Roshan, leave it. There was an Ahlbeck grading, which is a completely obsolete grading. Way back in 2008-9 होता था, कुछ नहीं अभी. In PIP, you see deformity called Bouchard node. In DIP, you see deformity called as Herberdon's nodes. Done? How do we remember it? When I was preparing like you, BP, HD, blood pressure, heart disease. And this is Gino varus. Chaliye. Now, most common joint, knee, bone, patella, muscle, VM, symptom, pain, Gino varus, PIP, DIP. These are the one-liners. VMO. What is VMO? Vastus medialis obliquus. Done? Chaliye. Done everyone? I hope you have. So, if at all a question comes in an image based form, Bouchard node, PIP, Herberdon node, DIP. Done? Chaliye. In clubfoot, just remember that deformities can be remembered with the help of a mnemonic called as CAVE, where C stands for cavus, A stands for adduction, V stands for no, it's not varus, it is inversion. E stands for equinus. Adduction plus inversion is combined together to be called as varus. Adduction plus inversion is combined together to be called as varus. Done? Now, just take a look. This is cavus. This is adduction. This is inversion. Combined together to be called as varus. This is equinus. Vishal Pawar, our center coordinator, also watching lecture. Wow, which center is this? Make sure that he fills the form for NEET PG whenever it is out. Done? Yes or no? Chaliye. So, when we talk about CTV, maximum MCQs are asked from Ponseti technique. Maximum MCQs are asked for Ponseti technique. First to correct, cavus. Last to correct, equinus. Toughest to correct, equinus. After correction, most common to reoccur, equinus. Done? Done? So these are few one-liners that we need to understand. By the way, success rate of Ponsati's technique, old MCQ although, 90 to 95%. Chaliye. If you have corrected Ponsati, and if despite correction the treatment is done, but still if it relapses, then the most common cause is poor compliance by parents. 2. CTV shoes and splint. In a CTV shoe, there should not be heel. There should be straight inner border. There should be outer shoe raise. Why? If there will be heel, there is a chance of equinus. So to prevent equinus, there should not be a heel. Normally inner border are curved, so that can lead to adduction. So you should have a straight inner border. So to prevent adduction, outer shoe raise. Why? If you raise it from inside, that will lead to what? Inversion. So to prevent inversion, outer raise, straight inner border to prevent adduction, no heel to prevent equinus. Done? Yes or no? चलिए जी, fill in the blank. Equinus, adduction, inversion. 3 important properties of CTV shoe. Ponsati is from 0 to 1 year, newborn till the baby celebrates first happy birthday. Now, this is a classical Klippel-Feil syndrome. Alright. So this is a classical Klippel-Feil syndrome. Short webbed neck, decreased mobility at neck, low posterior hairline, scoliosis and Sprengel deformity. So in the triad, I will write down short webbed neck, low posterior hairline, decreased mobility at neck, which is an integral feature of the disease but not a part of the triad, as correctly mentioned by Dr. Barnali, I think, short stature. So it is an integral component of the disease but not a part of the classical triad. Most common association will always be scoliosis. Most common association will be scoliosis. Another association is Sprengel's deformity. Another association is Sprengel's deformity. Done? I hope you have. Young boy, excessive running, develops inflammation at the insertion of ligamentum patelli onto tibial tuberosity, has a constant knee pain. Classical radiology spotter, Osgood-Schlatter's disease, traction osteochondritis at the insertion of ligamentum patelli onto the tibial tuberosity leading to an ectopic spur formation. Absolutely, Suraj. Father's dream of being a marathon runner or a sprinter, son has to fulfill, but son develops this problem. Yes. Image-based question, Thomas Splint. Image-based question, Thomas Splint. Outer bar, inner bar, oval ring. Alright. Was made for TB knee. Now used for fracture shaft of femur. SOF, fracture shaft of femur. Done. Very basic splint as an image-based question. I hope done. Bohler-Braun splint. Bohler-Braun splint, BB splint. Again, most common indication is fracture shaft of femur. Done, everyone? I'm sure most of you already know this. A frequently asked image-based question in exams, aeroplane splint, used for brachial plexus palsy, although he looks like, half aeroplane. अभी यूनिलैटरल ब्रेकियल प्लेक्सिस पैल्सी, मजा है बायलैटरल हो, फिर ये वाला हाथ भी ऊपर जाए, एंड देन take him to the runway, and then he will take off. All right, Coley's cast, handshake cast, Coley's cast, handshake cast, scaphoid cast, glass holding cast. How do you identify? Thumb free, thumb covered. हर चीज मुंह में नहीं होती, रनवे पे दौड़ेगा तो ओए हो जाएगा, ओए होए. So thumb is free, Coley's cast. Thumb is covered, handshake cast. It is a kind of a hack for you not to waste time and just quickly identify in your exam. Because when an image-based question like this comes in your exam, you are sitting on a chair in front of a computer screen, too much is at stake, you are under a lot of stress, you're thinking, and when you see this question, your first achievement is that when you get to know which part is this, okay fine, orthopedics, have I ever read this? Yeah, I think so, it's in my notes, written with black color, underlined it with green, there was a fluorescent marker, but what was under the marker I don't remember. So after spending good 30-40 seconds, you're like, can't recall, and then you go to the next one. Chaliye ji. Cylinder cast, tube cast, fracture patella. Why? If you see, the shape is just like that of a cylinder. If you see, shape is just like that of a cylinder. So cylinder cast or tube cast. Alright, so cylinder cast or tube cast. Fracture patella. Done? Chaliye. What is the name of this very frequently asked image-based question? Gallows traction. Fracture shaft of femur, children less than 2 years of age, buttock should be off the bed, both the legs should be up, tied up with a rope, upside down. Gallows traction. Practically we don't follow it much, theoretically yes we do. Moving to the next one, Steinman pin. Most common implant for application of skeletal traction. most common implant used for application of skeletal traction, that is called as Steinmann pen. One end is blunt, another end is pointed. 4 to 6 millimeter diameter, solid implant. Alright, Steinmann pen. Now after Steinmann pen, we have to see something which is called as Dunham's pen. Same 4 to 6 millimeter diameter, same one end is blunt, one end is solid. Then what is this identification feature? Central grooves. Most common implant if you have to put a skeletal traction in a cancellous bone like calcaneum. So if you have to put a skeletal traction in a cancellous bone like calcaneum, then you use Dunham pen, because these grooves, they take purchase in that bone. Done? So overall, most common implant for skeletal traction, Steinmann. Most common implant for skeletal traction in cancellous bone like calcaneum, Dunham. Now, most common implant for skeletal traction in short tubular bones. Say example, phalanges and metacarpal. K-wire. Usually 2 millimeter diameter, and the interesting thing is both the ends are pointed. Both the ends are pointed. ठीक? So we'll summarize it in this way, that overall most common implant for application of skeletal traction, Steinmann pen. Most common implant for application of skeletal traction in short tubular bones like calcaneum, Dunham pen. Most common implant for application of skeletal traction in short tubular bones like phalanges and metacarpal, K-wire. ठीक? Done? I hope you all have written this. Bohler stirrup. Whether you use Steinmann pen, whether you use Dunham pen, whether you use K-wire, at the end of the day, everything has to be connected with Bohler stirrup. Use anything. Alright? Use anything connected with Bohler stirrup. Done? Rush pin. Rush nail. How to identify? Curved end, pointed end. Although it is obsolete now, but at one point of time it was used for ulna and fibula fracture. So it is like this. So this end is pointed, this end is curved. It is an obsolete implant, we don't use it now. But MCQ people, they use it. Done? It's an intramedullary nail. You don't use it for traction, you use it for fracture fixation. You don't pass through, you pass in. There's a bone, you tell me to cut it into two parts. I say give me an osteotome, I put it at 90 degree, and what I do is tak, tak, tak. That is an osteotome. This is how an osteotome looks like. Both the edges are chiseled. You give me a bone, you say don't cut it into two parts, sir. Just scrape it. So what did I do? What did I do? So I put it at 45 degree, and what I do is, so that is basically chisel. So if one edge is beveled, chisel. If both the edges are beveled, we call it an osteotome. For sure, can come in your exam. Done? Shh. sharp cutting edges, bone cutter. Very frequently asked question. Sharp cutting edges. Can you see the edges? They are not hollow from within. They are not hollow from within. They can do this. So this is bone cutter. This is bone cutter. If you have edges which are hollow from within, you remember, वो sharp cutting edges थी. That was a cutter. If the edges are hollow from within, they're used as a nibbler. They're used as a nibbler. Done? So I repeat, sharp cutting edges. Cutter, काटता है, कट गया है. This is nibbler. Done? चलिए. If you have a pointed structure with both the edges serrated, it's a reduction forceps. It's a reduction clamp. It's a reduction forceps. Kaustubh, let the class finish. Reduction clamp. Or do one thing, Kaustubh. Change your name to Aditi with another profile icon and then put it in the comment section chat box. Then maybe I will answer it at that point of time. Priorities, boss. So it's a reduction clamp. There's a fracture. You have to approximate it. You use a reduction clamp. TBW. Tension band wiring, which converts shearing forces into compressive forces. Classical indication, fracture patella, olecranon. Classical indication, fracture patella, fracture olecranon. Done? It converts destructive forces into compressive forces. अरे खत्म हो गया क्या? अरे चलिए. Fracture of necessity. I just want you to remember fracture lateral condyle humerus, Montigia's fracture, Galeazzi's fracture. These are the fracture of necessity. Kaustubh, who is still posing as Kaustubh. So if you have inflammation of the paraspinal muscles, that is called as spondylitis, which you have, Kaustubh, right now because of prolonged sitting on the chair. Well, I'm not sure, you might be lying down as well. But if you are in a prolonged sitting position, then you develop paraspinal muscle spasm, that is spondylitis. If you break the pedicle, if there is fracture of the pedicle or the facet joint, that is called as spondylolysis, because lysis means break. If there is slippage of one vertebral body over another vertebral body, that is what is called as spondylolisthesis. Listhesis, slippage. If there are age-related changes, osis, effusion, degeneration, which is happening in grandmother more than mother, mother more than us, then those degenerative changes in the spine, that is called as osis. Kaustubh, I hope you understand. Lokesh Singh Sahab, proximal phalanx, middle phalanx, distal phalanx, extensor tendon, flexor digitorum profundus, extensor digitorum. If extensor digitorum gets avulsed, we call it mallet finger. If FDV gets avulsed, we call it Jersey finger. Done? Chaliye. With this, we come towards the end for today's session. I will tell you just one thing. See, I had 2 hours. I took 2 hours because I was supposed to take 2 hours, and that's what was required. Now, just one thing that I want always, I just believe in this very strongly, and I just want to say that thing to all of you. At the end of the day, whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever our passion is, जो चीज काम में आती है वो सिर्फ एक ही चीज आती है, belief. If you believe it, then you will always have the knowledge which will be more than the people around you. To have a plan is good, but not to believe in it, there is no point of having a plan. Anything technically is possible. I'll tell you why. Still you have time. Still you have, 80 days, 90 days, whatever it is. आप तब तक जंग को हारते नहीं हो जब तक जंग पूरी नहीं हो जाती. So time अभी बहुत बचा है. Many people, sir, will I prepare for May aims? Will May aims happen? Will INICT happen? And all that thing. जब तक ये एग्जाम नहीं हो जाता तब तक आपके चांसेस हैं. As much as the guy who's going to, the girl who's going to score rank 1. We all have equal chances as of now. It's all in here. It's all a problem of mindset. When a baby elephant is there, उसको chain कर देते हैं. So that baby elephant keeps on thinking that this petty thing is stopping me. Although this elephant has got so much of power, उखाड़ के ले जाएगा. So whoever you are, wherever you are, whatsoever you are doing, you should have this here. That my mindset is that I'm not stuck to anything. I can do anything. I can fly. I can achieve anything that I want to. कुछ भी हो सकता है, कभी भी हो सकता है. मैंने 15 साल में देखा है कुछ भी होते हुए. It's just that utilize every single moment of whatever you're doing and be honest to your preparation. I told you about this. Just be honest to your preparation. Break all the chains of insecurities, confusions, what ifs, friends, relatives, neighbors, Instagram, Telegram. तू अब शुरू कर रहा नहीं हो पाएगा, तू लेट हो गया नहीं हो पाएगा, तूने एक्स किया नहीं हो पाएगा, तूने ये नहीं किया तो नहीं हो पाएगा. सब हो पाएगा. ये जो बुकलेट आपको मिली है, इट्स गोल्ड. Even more than that. And a lot of effort has actually gone into devising and designing this. If you go through this to the maximum of your capabilities and abilities, I'm telling you, I'm giving you my word, you can conquer anything. बस mindset की बात है. आपकी हकीकत आपके सबसे मजबूत विश्वास का प्रतिबिंब होता है. I know some of you cannot understand Hindi. Therefore, your reality is a reflection of your strongest belief. So, I believe in you. Do you believe in yourself? Ask this question to you. If your answer is yes, then we are on the same page. And I know that you will be able to make it. And फिर वही बात है, take it easy. If not, then make it easy. Thank you so much for being so patient in the chat box. I've seen some of you doing some nasty things also. So be nice to all the teachers. They worked hard for you. Tomorrow again, you have a lineup. And tomorrow morning, you will start with a very interesting subject, psychiatry, where you will have a discussion on me as well. I will also help you again tomorrow morning session. I will come in one of the personality disorders, hopefully. And if that happens, do message me. I will talk to Dr. Sachin, not to include me. Chalo. We all are a family, and you are our children, you are our kids, you are our younger brothers and sisters. Do well, study well, work hard, make everybody proud of you. Take care of yourself, everyone around you. Take care of your family. Be empathetic, be compassionate, have vision, be persistent. All hearts. Bye-bye. Thank you. If there is still any query, put it on the chat box or put it on the Instagram as a message. I will try to make a video on that. Bye-bye. Thank you. God bless.